Hi guys and welcome back. If you're new here, I am Tott and I create beauty videos weekly. In today's video, I'm going to give you a few quick tips on how to select the right shade for your foundation. Today's video is not going to be about the coverage, it's not going to be about the skin types. Today I will only give you best tips on how to select foundation that will match you. If you follow my channel, you know I work within the fashion, bridal and red carpet / private clientele, so I cater for a lot of real women. Very often in my clientele's work, I hear that my foundation doesn't match me. When I was in the store picking foundation, it seemed alright, but when I left the store and tried it again the next day, it didn't match the same way. So first of all, what we need to understand is that all of us have different skin tone, which is skin coloring, light, medium, dark, and so on. And the skin undertone. Skin tone is something that changes when we catch the sun. We get tanned, we get darker, we lose the tan, we get lighter. Skin undertone is something that we have permanently and it does not change. It's really important to understand which undertone you are. Now in this video, I'm not going to go in depth because it's a full-on theory about how to determine your undertone. Instead, I'm going to try and find a very good YouTube video from another channel that already covered that and link it up here and also in the description box below so you can educate yourself and try to figure out what undertone you are. But in few words, there is 3 main undertones and one kind of a sub undertone, let's call it this way. Warm undertone with the yellow kind of tones, pink undertone which is called cold undertone. So we have warm undertone, cold undertone which is within the pinks, neutral undertone which kind of combines two together, warm and cold, a bit more forgiving one, and also there is olive undertone. I am a very distinctive representative of the light to medium skin tone with olive undertone. When olive undertone tans, it is beautiful golden shade. When olive undertone is at its palest, it almost has that gray green kind of a undertone in there. It's not the most attractive one at all. And I'm going to link the video above that goes in a depth about how to distinguish which undertone you are, so that will help you to pinpoint which foundation color you may need. You understood your skin's undertone and you want to try, let's say, Armani Luminous Silk, one of the most popular foundations out there, and you don't know which color you are. Some brands are actually fantastic, and besides the name or the number of their foundation, on the website you can find a description which will say cold undertone or medium cool undertone. NARS is one of the best brands in respect to describing their colors. So when you're going on a NARS website and you want to pick a foundation shade, besides the name Siberia, Tahoe, or whatever other name there is for the foundation, there will be a description in the bracket. Medium skin tone, warm undertone, dark olive undertone, dark red undertone, which already helps the customer to understand what undertone they are to pick the right shading for themselves. Unfortunately, not all of the brands do that, and I in fact can only name NARS that comes on the top of my head that is really good like this. Some other brands like MAC and Estee Lauder also give you some sort of hint in respect to which undertone your foundation may be. For example, in MAC, letter W, for whichever reason, is extremely confusing. It doesn't mean warm, W10 and W15, this is how MAC labels their foundation, means cold. Just remember that MAC works the other way around. W is cooler, pinkier undertones, and C, which stands for kind of a cool, is warm. So all of the NC colors in MAC foundations are warmer in their coloring. Now there is also Estee Lauder foundation Double Wear, which is one of my favorite foundations, and this one is pretty correct in their naming. So for example, they have 2, which means the darkness of the skin. In the middle there is a letter, it can be C, which is for cold, N for neutral, both pink and warm undertone, undertone, and W for really warm undertones. So you would get 2W1, which is 2, it's like on the lighter side of skin tones, W for warm, and 2 is like not the first one, but the second one in the degree of darkness. Yeah, so that's a little bit more explanatory. But again, for someone who is not experienced, it also is not the great way of labeling their foundations. I just wish everybody were more like NARS and made it easy for a consumer to understand what shading they are buying. So the next step leads me on to suggesting to you to go to the counter. Of course, people who work in the counter should be able to match you exactly to the undertone that you are. This, unfortunately, is not always the case, and that may be for several reasons. Number one, when you are in the department store, you may have noticed that the lighting in there is not the best. It is either the lighting that comes from a really high above, and it's either yellow or white, and it drops on you and it casts all of the shadowing underneath. Or you are in the makeup counter and you're sitting in front of the mirror, and again, you most likely are going to have a very cold white daylight in front of you, which will pale you down a little bit. And also that sort of lighting kind of takes away your natural coloring a little bit, kind of washes you out. Unfortunately, it is what it is, and the makeup artists are forced to work within the lighting that they're given and match you to what they see. So what quite often happens is you're coming to the store in a winter time, probably have your jacket and a coat, only neck is visible and your face is visible. Then the over-counter makeup artist, knowing all of their shading, tries to match you either to the side of your jawline or to your neck. One thing, guys, please understand, everybody's face color is very different from their neck color. There may be several reasons for that. Either you are out there enjoying the sun and your face has tanned and the neck is the least to see the sun, especially once you even out all of the other skin coloring on the face, you then look very even and very different to your neck. Your neck is pale, your face is tanned. Or with some people, it can be the other way around. People are applying a lot of SPF onto the face area and not the rest of the body. And then the face turns out to be much more pale than the rest of the body. And then the same thing happens again. Some of the foundations, in my experience, particularly MAC foundations, can oxidize. What does this mean? The foundation is within the bottle, its own chemical environment. Once the bottle is open, it meets the oxygen. When original formula of the foundation is combined with the oxygen, it so-called oxidizes. For whichever reason, it can change the color. For example, in the store, you're applying foundation and it's fantastic. It matches all perfectly. Half an hour passes, you get home, and then you suddenly look orange. A good over-counter makeup artist will be able to explain you this and also tell you that this foundation oxidizes. Now, in my experience, majority of my foundations are pretty good, but I do remember that with some MAC foundations, especially those who are with a warmer undertone, that can happen. What can you do in order to avoid all of this? So first of all, try to understand your skin's undertone. Secondly, when you're going to the shop, go with the intention of trying it out. Wear something more open if possible than just your neck and your facial area. Whenever we professional makeup artists are matching the skin to skin, I must see the hands as well, because it is very often that the hands are much darker. And for example, you are purchasing a foundation and you need to look unified everywhere. There is no point of matching you to your paler neck to then go out and have your legs and the rest of the body super tanned. So first of all, have as much skin open as possible, just so when you step back in a mirror, you can have a look if everything looks cohesive. That's one thing. Then when you come into the store to try shades of the foundation, ask the artist to pick few shades of the foundations that they think that will be good for you. Ask the artist to apply foundation side by side. It possibly will be a darker shade and a lighter shade, or perhaps one neutral, one cool, or one neutral, one warm, and leave the store. Leave the store to go out on a daylight, because only in a real daylight, not a sunny one and not in the shade, so somewhere in between. Think about the cloudy day. Go outside and then have a good look. And also, of course, preferably not in a mini mirror, but somewhere where you can actually assess your overall look together. Or if this is not acceptable, leave and go home. Go home in the lighting setup and environment setup that you are used to seeing yourself, and see which side feels more you, which side feels more comfortable on you. It is very possible that one side will be lighter, another one will be darker, but you will definitely have a feel of which side feels better. Don't purchase the foundation the same day. Just treat that day as your testing out day. Once you have distinguished which side you prefer better, I mean, of course, keep a note of which foundation color was used on each side of your face. Only then go back to the shop. In the case where you may not be 100% sure, my advice would be to go with a lighter shade. If we match the face exactly to the color of the rest of the body, let's say it will be more on a darker side, on top will go contouring, the blusher, the highlighter, all of these other things that will bring more color onto your face. And when this happens, you will look even more tan. And I always find the face will look fresher when the base was done half of a shade or a shade lighter than the rest of the body. One last thing before I wrap up this video is some people have very distinctive pink undertone, like it's really pink. Often that happens when people overburn in the sun, and it is that medium skin tone that is so warm, but at the same time, because it was exposed to the sun for so long, it's so pink. Now this is one of the hardest skin tones to match. If you are of a very pink undertone, just be really careful not to go for a too pink of a foundations that completely match your skin, because the goal for the foundation is to even out the canvas, cancel all of the colors that should not be there, and to make our skin appear as healthy and as youthful as possible. Most likely the cause of the using a foundation is to get rid of the redness. I'm not saying to go for the warm undertone, but perhaps instead of the going for the cool undertone, maybe choose a neutral undertone. That at least will try to disguise a lot of that pinkiness that you have in your skin. Alright guys, well thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you found a lot of helpful advice in my video today. Let me know in the comments below how many times have you struggled matching yourself. Let me know in the comments below if I did help you to pick a right shade of the foundation. I hope we have been useful. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I see you on my next one.